Hello and welcome to Watch Me Code. I am Cameron Vijdani and in this video we will continue our Zuz CMS. Before continuing, if you have not subscribed to Watch Me Code YouTube channel, then please subscribe, and if you have not liked and followed the Watch Me Code Facebook page, then please like and subscribe for updates. So in last video we have left here. Let's go to our code. Let's go inside source, and for Zuz app now we need to include the router. Let's go inside the import, and at import we need to import a couple of things from React Router DOM. The first thing is browser router, and the browser router actually is a wrapper for the entire router. We need a route so that we will add pages. Inside the React Router DOM you can call a route or consider route as a page, and we need to add a switch because we will add conditions, and we need a redirect. Now go inside the Zuz app main render and just wrap the entire app with browser router, and after the browser router we will add a div. Let's call it div class name equals app, or maybe, well, let's call it app. And inside that app we have splash. If we save and go back to our local host, we are back on track. But now we have this app wrapper, and we have splash, and we have image. Now we need to create one page, and let's call it Zuz.js, because inside Zuz.js we will add over all components we are going to create, and whenever you will use this CMS you will get a landing page with all the available components with their code and functionality, source or reference. So I need to type RSF and sorry, and inside the Zuz we need to call it a Zuz comps, because, or maybe let's call it Zuz landing, because we are going to create a complete package and we'll call it Zuz. So I don't want to I don't want the confliction to happen for this component. And the div class name has let's call it Zuz landing, and inside the Zuz landing, well, before that let's import Zuz landing from pages and Zuz. And now we need to check for the loading thing, because we are fetching the state from the app reducer. We should have this loaded property from the props. If we go inside Redux, reducers and app, and here is the loaded, because we will keep showing the splash until the loaded thing is set to true, and we will call it loaded, then simply add the Zuz landing, and oh sorry, we need to render it. Otherwise we will just simply add a splash. It is a basic routing. We are not going to add any route yet. We will add it later, but for now just go with it. And we need one more thing, use effect. And the use effect works in a way, if you are familiar with the functionality function component or stateless component, you should already know that use effect is equivalent to component did mount in from the class component, and it accepts a method, and we will pass the empty array as a second argument because it prevents it from re-rendering again and again. And inside use effect we will add set timeout, and the set timeout will actually happens after 1 second, and we need to capture this set state, and we will simply call a set state, and the state will be loaded to false, and save. This way we will hide the splash after some time. If we reload, and it keeps adding, or maybe we should pass the loaded. If the loaded changes, it should again print the Zuz landing, and inside Zuz we should call welcome to Zuz, and save and reload, and it should work. We should check for Zuz app inside the use effect what is going on, console.log, and check console.log use affected, and save, and it is triggering. And for a set state, state dispatch type is app state, and state is the state. And for app.js app state action.state, it should work out of the box, and we need to console.log props whenever it gets updated, and it says loaded false and use affected is working. We should move this use effect to timeout so that we should check if the use effect is actually working. Oh, sorry, I need to set it to true. I was confused what is going on. And here we go. We are on welcome to Zuz. And for sorry, and for that I need to create a folder inside the source. Let's call it Zuz. And for Zuz I need one more file, that is index.js, because we are importing all Zuz components from Zuz. I have a plan to export it as npm module later once we have completed the basic components. And inside Zuz I need one more folder, and let's call it UI. And for UI we will index we need index.js so that we can import all the you can say UI components. And for the UI components we need a new folder, call it comps, and inside comps we need to get start with a button new file, button.js. Well, you are wondering if it really needs or we really need a button component, and instead of just typing input type button or a button tag, because I have a plan to add different styling to the button and keep it universal. I already have created a video for the UI. You can check inside my YouTube channel, that is React and React Native UIT Kit button component. And we have this React Native UI Kit switch component, and we are going to implement the same thing inside our Zuz CMS, and with a couple of more features. So let's get started by typing button, and we need capital B because the React component should be capital. Let's call it class name, and we will call it button, and we need a couple of props. First of all, we will accept a label equals props, and we will simply pass h2 class name equals label, and we will use that label, or we are going to pass a default value for label, that is button, and save. Now we need to import this button inside our main UI index.js. Let's import button from comps button and simply export the button. We will keep exporting all the components in this main export so that we can simply import these. Let's import button from, we will go with Zuz UI. This way we will be able to just import our custom UI components. Well, if you are still you still have a question why I am trying to create my own UI kit instead of using the material UI or all the available UI kits, the reason is I have found difficult to use those libraries because that maybe I am just confused, or I have not completely got the information or functionality usage. Well, I don't have words to explain why it is hard to use those libraries, so I have came across these idea to simplify the UI components and just add a button, sorry, and save. Now we need to go inside SCSS, and for CSS we need to import the new file, and we will check for our custom CSS. So let's add a CSS and call it zuz.scss, and inside the index we need to import that SCSS .scss and save. This way we will be able to use our UI kit or keep the UI kit separate from the main app.scss. So open and add button, and let's get started with background red to check if it is connected already. And one more thing, that is to remove that console log from props. And because I have shared the idea to temporarily add a set timeout to make set state loaded, but later we will add it as a real or you can call it real world example how to set this how or when or and where to update the loaded to true. But for now, just remove it, or maybe I should just comment it so that we can keep a reference, and just remove the loaded. And we need to pass those landing directly, so we don't have to wait for 1 second. Again, let's go inside those landing, and for the button we have the button label, and we already have that CSS. And we need to add, right click, inspect, and for the background we need $theme color if it is available, but it is asking for the theme color is unknown, so we need to check for the colors.css and quickly copy it from here. We will create a theme system later inside our UI, so just add a $theme color to that theme color. Here we go. And we need to use that props. Remember, if we need this Zuz UI, we need that props.scss. So for now, we need to keep adding classes. When I will export this Zuz UI to npm, I will include the props.scss separately for the this Zuz UI. Now I need to add color scheme, color range, and we will use a C prefix, and we will add a comment quickly. And the comment is color series, where C is prefix, and next 3 numbers are common color codes. And we have a CFF, and we will use color #FFF. And again, we need the font size series. And number is size. So we will create S15, and we have font size 15 pixels. And we need to pass it inside the button. So we have button, we will add a CFF, and we have S15. Here we go. And for the H2, we need to reset it inside our props.scss, and I will add reset default values for HTML tags. Let's start with H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. And we will add a font size to 100% and font weight to normal. And for the font size, we will use before that we need to add asterisk HTML body, and same H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, 6, and we will use margin 0 pixels, padding to 0 pixels. And we need to include a couple of more things: OL, UL, LI, and we have pre, we have form, we have label, we have field set, we have an input, we have P for paragraph, and we have div. Let's go with it. And if you go back to your page, you have now reset all the default CSS values, because if you quickly see inside the styles tab, inside inspect element, you have noticed we have font dash size 1.5 em by default, and we have font weight bold, and I have reset it to normal and font size to 100%, and 100% is to follow the actual font size that is being passed inside the CSS or to the body. And one more thing, we need fonts.google.com, and let's type open sans. And the reason I am using this font in almost all projects, because it is sleek and commonly used font. So I need to select 300, and we need to select for the italic, regular italic, and we need 700 and 700 italic. Now just quickly copy. We don't have to import it inside our local. Why bother if when Google is hosting it for us? So go inside your public index.html, and for the font name, we will just copy that CSS, and inside the app.scss we will add or maybe we should well keep it inside your app. And for the dot font, it means we are actually using the font family from our open sans hosted by Google. And when we are passing, or we need the bold thing, we will add dot b, and it will have font weight 700, and when we will pass b3, it will have we have 400 before, and we will have font weight to 400, and I guess we should move it to b7 instead. And for b, we will simply add font weight bold. Now inside the button, let's pass the font, and it will change to the Google font. Great. And instead of div, we need a button. This is why it is acquiring all the space. And for the Zuz.scss, we will start by typing inspect, and for the button, why it is, oh, here we go. Now I need to add border 0 pixels, and we have padding 10 pixels and 20 pixels, and we have border radius of 5 pixels, or maybe well, go with it. So copy and paste inside the button CSS. And for the button, we need to add just close all these tabs. We need to start with bold, and it has now bold property, and if I add b7, it is for font weight 700. And bold. And we need to increase the font size to 16. 16 is good to get started. And for the props, let's create 16 and 16 pixels and save. Now I need to add this Zuz landing inside the app.css. Zuz landing, and add padding of 75 pixels so that we can just add a nice padding. We will design it later, because I need a sidebar and I need a block where we are actually presenting each of our component. Okay, we need to check for a font B7, and for the font weight bold B7, font weight B4, and we are actually importing font 0700. Great. Now I need to check for font weight. Why it is not requiring the font pixels, or maybe bold. Well, keep it this way for now. Okay, now I need to add a couple of states. First of all, we need to add the hover state. Let's add and hover. And for the hover, we will add opacity 0.9. And we need a default cursor pointer and outline to none, so that whenever we add a button, it should keep the pointer on. And now if you check, you can easily see this effect. And I guess we should change the default value of color of this button to bluish instead of yeah, let's go with this color. And for the theme color, let's go with this one. We will change it later, of course. Okay. And go inside the VS Code button, and instead of passing the B7 to our button, we should use this class to our label instead. Or maybe we should keep the CFF to the button and leave S16 font and B7 to label, because we are trying to change the font to this H2 instead of the button. Now the bold thing is back on track, and if we pass B4, if we have font weight B4, it is normal, but I should keep and go with. What if we just pass B? It is equal to B7. Let's choose B. And for the text transform, we will use sorry, we will use TUC for text uppercase. We will add a text text transform and uppercase TUC. So let's pass TUC. We will, by the way, change the conditions for the uppercase inside our props. So if we are going to use the uppercase, then we will add this class, otherwise we will just remove it. Here we go. Now let me quickly quit the WhatsApp because it is annoying me again and again by pinging. Now I need to add for disabled, and we will select disabled equals disabled or false. Let's go inside the Zuz landing and add one more button, and now we should pass the label, and the label should be submit, and for disabled we will use true. This way we have these two buttons disabled, and for button we will just add margin of 5 pixels, and back to Zuz.css, and we need to add and disabled. We will add background of CCC and inspect, and for disabled we have this background. We need to add a color of 777, not important, and let's change this color to a bit dimmer and background to lighter, and we need to add a border, maybe 1 pixel CCC solid. No, I should just remove the border. And but if we should just copy and go with the disabled, and for the disabled and hover we will add opacity to 1, and the cursor should be auto, not important, so that we should not use the pointer because the button is currently disabled. Great. Now we need to add one more thing right here, and that is an icon. So let's go inside icon, div class name equals icon, and the icon will be from the icon that will come from ICOmon. Let's go inside. I guess we should go with Safari, and I should quickly create a project, and let's call it Zuz CMS and load, and I should import SSD and I need to import Lindua. Here we go. We should remove the selection. Here we go. The Lindua set is actually a premium version of ICOmon. You can check on icomon.io, and I own this. I have purchased this set, by the way. So let's start with an icon, and if we can start with send, and we should use this this send button and generate font and enable quick usage, because we are going to use this temporarily link for ICMO. Let's copy and paste inside index.html. And for the icon, we have this paper dash plain. Button.js, let's add a paper.plain and S24 for font size. Quickly add it here, copy and paste 24 and 24 and save. And now we have this button. It is time to add the flex, and it will have display flex. And if we have .aic, it will have align items center. And if we have call, it will have flex direction to column, and save. And quickly add inside button. Here we go. And the icon is now on right side, and we need to add that as well. We need to add icon with a margin right of roughly 6 pixels, and let's start the font size with 20 or maybe 22, or actually the 20 is not here. We need to quickly check what is suitable for the button icon. We will check for font size 20 pixels. Yes, 20 is good. Let's quickly add 20 and save. Here we go. And we need to check for the button, icon. Let's go inside the label and pass an icon. We need to check for if icon is inside our props. We should pass this icon, and the name should be icon.name, and the font size should be icon.size or 20, and save. Now the icon is gone. We need to pass it manually. So inside Zuz landing, we will pass the icon, and the icon should be an object. Let's quickly add formatting, and the name is paper plain, and the size is 20, and save. There we go again. And if I quickly copy it to the other button as well, and why not just use a different icon? So let's add an pencil. Generate font. There we go. Let's copy and update this link inside index.html. And for the first button, we will use pencil, and save. Here we go. We have this nice pencil. And one more thing, we need to set the direction if we really need this icon direction, and we should add direction to right, and save. Let's go back to button, and we will check for and icon dot direction, and icon dot direction equals left, or maybe not equals to right. Then we should keep the icon here, otherwise we will use the same icon to equals right. Here we go. This way we have this icon to the right. Now it is time to add margin 0 pixels and 6 pixels. Perfect. And for the icon R, we should add margin right 6 pixels, and icon R we will add margin right auto, not important, and margin left to 6 pixels. There we go. And again, I need to reduce the font size a bit smaller, 18 pixels, and let's use 16 and 16. And now I need to check for the direction, or maybe just remove the direction for now. This way we need we will be able to handle both icon, go back and add a font size of 18, because Lindua is trouble adding the icons, or keep the icon crisp border for that low value for the font size. And we need to check here if the direction is even added. So we will check for what should we add. We have direction to right, and we should check for icon and well, I guess we should just go with this for now, and let's add a comment for icon left, and we have icon right, and we have label. Let's add a margin to keep things clean. And for the button, we should add a direction left. Let's go with it. And we should check for icon dot direction to there we go. So we need to add for direction left, and the icon is on the left side. This is it for this video. In next video we will continue with the button component.